We had masked ICE agents following a daycare educator into the daycare where there were parents, there were children.
Okay, I don't even know where to start with this story, so let's begin with this. Homeland Security is being accused of chasing down a daycare worker into the actual daycare, and Homeland Security is getting called out by lawmakers, teachers, parents. But there is one part to this story that Homeland Security let everyone know.
Federal authorities say they did not specifically target the daycare and that the teacher is in the country illegally.
Yeah, so lawmakers keep leaving this part out. She's an illegal immigrant from Colombia. She was caught and released by the Biden administration in 2023 and had her kids smuggled into the United States just last month.
ICE broke into the daycare and took a daycare teacher while children were in that daycare.
So we have a bunch of lawmakers who keep talking about this story, but they keep leaving that one part out that you would think would probably add to the story and some context. So of course we're going to dig into this. We like context on my channel. Now before we start the video, make sure to please like the video. It's the #1 way you guys are helping this channel, and it also helps others see the videos as well. And this story is going so viral, please push it out, like the video, leave your comments so others can see what exactly is going on with the full context so people are not being misled. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is watch the viral clip. And you'll notice in the video, we already don't have a lot of context. This is all we have. Okay, that's the video. This is all we have to work with. From this video alone, we have two separate narratives from lawmakers, from the media, and then Homeland Security is saying something completely different, so let's dig into the narratives. Let's start with Congressman Mike Quigley. He says, ICE isn't going after the worst of the worst. This morning, they took a preschool teacher without a warrant in front of children in my district. And that's all he says. No context. Why are the ICE agents in the building? What is actually going on? In fact, immediately Homeland Security is like, hold on. Congressman, you are deliberately misrepresenting the facts. ICE law enforcement did not target a daycare and were only at this location because the female illegal alien fled inside. Here's the story. Officers attempted to conduct a targeted traffic stop of this female illegal alien from Colombia. Officers attempted to pull over this vehicle, which was registered to a female illegal alien with sirens and emergency lights, but the male driver refused to pull the vehicle over. Again, this is a completely different narrative than what lawmakers are saying. Law enforcement pursued the vehicle before the assailant sped into a shopping plaza, and where he and the female passenger fled the vehicle, they ran into a daycare and attempted to barricade themselves inside the daycare, recklessly endangering the children inside. Again, all of this context is a lot more different than what this lawmaker said, but he's not the only one who's talking like this. Here's Congresswoman Delia Ramirez.
Hey everyone, Congresswoman Delia Catalina Ramirez. I want to talk to you about what happened here in Chicago, just across from my district, at a daycare. At a daycare that I know really well. Let's be clear. ICE broke into that daycare.
So off the bat, she's saying ICE broke into the daycare. Right off the bat. We're like, what, 5 seconds into a clip here?
And took a daycare teacher while children were in that daycare. They didn't just take her. They went back in and went into other rooms asking teachers for papers while children were inside. This is what's happening right now via that force of terror called Homeland Security under Kristi Noem. You're watching terrorized families, children. I went into the daycare this morning as part of rapid response, and I see teachers, I see parents crying. They're wondering, how could it be possible that the place that's supposed to keep my children safe for 8 hours while I go to work has been broken into by these masked agents with guns running through the daycare?
So let's just say you've only seen the clip that we've watched, the 40-second clip, and now you're just listening to your congresswoman. Again, you're going to think that the ICE agents just simply walked into the facility and started terrorizing the kids and started going into all these rooms and asking for documents. This is why context matters. And by the way, if you haven't already, make sure to please subscribe to my channel so I can keep you up to date with stories just like this. And if you see the QR code, scan it with your cell phone so it's easier for you to subscribe to my channel if you're watching this on TV. Let's continue.
There were children in the building. There were babies in the building. They came into the building understanding it was a daycare. They did not have a warrant. My name is Maria Guzman. I am, as the representative said, a parent at Ayuda del Sol, and I am a proud daughter of immigrants of this country. And what has happened today is a violation of our rights. It is a violation of these children's rights. It is a violation of these teachers' rights who have a right to work in this country. What they are doing is terrorizing our community, terrorizing our culture, and it is absurd and horrific that they have now targeted our daycare centers.
Okay, so that's the other big accusation, is that Homeland Security is now targeting daycare centers. Now, Homeland Security has straight up denied this and said completely fake. The reason why we went into the daycare center, you know, the person fled the scene, ran into the daycare center, so they thought, hey, maybe we should go into the daycare center because there's kids there. We might want to protect them because somebody just fled the scene and ran into the daycare center. And I really try not to give my opinion too much, but I think if this was any police agency, from the local police to a sheriff, if somebody fled the scene from a traffic stop and ran away into a daycare center, I think it's kind of safe to say that the local police would also have pursued inside of this daycare center and ask, hey, what are you doing here? Especially if it was deemed that the person who was driving the vehicle is an illegal immigrant. And probably the #1 critic of the Trump administration and the mission occurring in Chicago has to be the mayor of Chicago, and I thought you'd want to see what he has to say about all of this.
They went inside of a preschool. They tore a teacher out of a classroom in front of their children.
I mean, right off the bat, in the beginning of this speech, you are getting the implication that, whoa, ICE just walked into this preschool, into this daycare, and snatched a teacher just like that?
That video shocked the conscience of every single Chicagoan across our beloved city.
And by the way, there's only one video, the video that we watched. And for me, I always ask questions like, why did they run in there? But again, they all saw the same video you guys just saw.
This is not who we are. We most certainly cannot have this in our city or our country. My heart certainly goes out to the 47th Ward, who were deeply appalled and shocked by this kind of incident. Greg Bavino allegedly told the court that this is his effing or blank city. No, Greg, it's not. The city belongs to Chicagoans.
Okay, now I think you'll find this interesting because the local news out of Chicago actually did put that context in there. The reason why federal agents pursued the person is because she was an illegal immigrant and ran into a daycare where children are.
Federal authorities say they did not specifically target the daycare and that the teacher is in the country illegally, but local officials maintain she has a work permit and a pending asylum case.
So I think it's very crucial we give credit where credit is due. Thank you for putting that in there, because for the viewer, if you did not see this part of the story, again, it's an implication of, man, daycares are now being targeted. What am I going to do with my kids? This is very dangerous to not give the full context.
And that agents entered the daycare without a warrant. Anger, outrage, and a show of solidarity, capping a day of high emotion on the north side. Daycare families joined by community members in a rally in support of the teacher now in custody.
We had masked ICE agents following a daycare educator into the daycare where there were parents, there were children.
The gathering in North Center comes after the morning arrest by federal agents of that female teacher during child drop-off. at Rayito del Sol, or Ray of Sunshine, where Halloween decorations belie the anxiety consuming that community.
Sadness and fear and helplessness, I think, are the feelings that I've felt throughout the day.
Witness video reviewed by ABC7 shows the teacher being violently dragged from the building as she tells agents in Spanish she has papers.
This woman is a trusted, loved member of her community.
And this is the same member of Congress right here that we talked about at the very beginning of the video that had no context, just a video, and Homeland Security called him out.
With a work permit.
The children were crying, the parents were crying. It's a scene that I don't think any of us have ever witnessed before and will ever forget.
DHS maintains that teacher, who's from Colombia, is undocumented and alleged that she paid people to bring her 2 teenage children into the country illegally. DHS says agents tried to stop her in her car, but the male driver refused to pull the vehicle over, and they ran into a daycare and attempted to barricade themselves inside. That account disputed by local officials who say they reviewed daycare surveillance video.
There is a sign at the door that says this is a business.
This is another really big thing we're seeing out of Chicago, these signs. In fact, I covered on my channel just a few days ago, there was an apartment complex that had a sign that said private property, and people said the sign should have let Homeland Security know you can't be in here. But again, a sign is not going to stop federal agents from pursuing someone that was initially stopped in a road stop.
Business and a private place. They illegally pushed their way into the building. There was no barricading.
It's unclear where that teacher is currently being held. DHS has made her name public, but ABC7 is not identifying her because it's unclear that she's been charged.
And Homeland Security has already identified the person. It's all over X now, and it's even been reposted by national news outlets. Okay, now here's where things get interesting, and you would think this part of the story is kind of important, but Homeland Security just left this part out. Apparently, the illegal immigrant who ran into the daycare works at the daycare.
We were in the kitchen together. She asked, Dad, hey, you said my teacher's name. Is that her on the phone? And I said, no, it's not. And she goes, oh, is she okay? You know what I did in that moment? I lied to my 5-year-old. And I said, yeah, she's okay. Do I know the answer to that? No. So if anybody has an answer to, like, how do you talk to your kids about what's happening, I'm all ears. Because I lied to my 5-year-old this morning.
So I want to be very clear here. I am super sympathetic to the children who, like, don't know what's going on. I mean, they're kids. How would they know that, you know, all this chaos is happening around them? But again, I'm just trying to point out in this video that there seems to be some sort of back-end communication with the illegal immigrant, and lawmakers are saying the illegal immigrant has working papers. And again, the implication we're getting here is that she was working, the illegal immigrant was working in this daycare. Now, as far as that being its whole story, I think maybe Homeland Security will look into this as to why a daycare center may have illegally hired an illegal immigrant. I mean, this could be a really big problem for the daycare.
Are folks not concerned about this? This is horrific. They have crossed a line. Our schools, our libraries, our churches should be safe places for our children. As parents, what do we tell our children? That those who are in law enforcement are folks who they should be scared of? How is that okay with folks who are watching this? If they are coming after all of our children, we all need to activate and ensure that this is something that does not continue happening. And we need all of you who are not part of this community to join us.
Now, I think you'll find this interesting, because this narrative that Homeland Security is trying to target the children, well, the data actually says otherwise. This is from the month of October.
300,000 children. I looked at the numbers just yesterday. We've located over 23,000 of them. So 23,000 locations of the 300,000. Well, President Trump's committed.
Okay, so hold on. This already is kind of a different narrative than what we're hearing from this story. That Homeland Security is trying to target the kids, and Tom Homan is saying the opposite. Out of 300,000 missing children, they found 25,000, which is amazing. We should all be happy about that.
We're not going to stop till we find every one of them, or at least, you know, run every lead down on those 300,000 children. That's a big plus for the administration, because the last administration wasn't even looking for them. So, but as far as with Chicago is coming along with every other sanctuary city. President Trump is committed that we're going to focus and prioritize sanctuary cities, because that is where the problem is. We know for a fact they're releasing public safety threats to the streets every day rather than handing them over to ICE so we can deport them.
So yeah, we're going to be seeing a lot more deportation efforts, especially in Chicago, mainly coming in 2026. But as of right now, Operation Midway Blitz is occurring. That's mainly with Border Patrol. You also have ICE agent elements out there. So we're definitely going to be seeing a lot more deportations and probably a lot more clashes, specifically out of Chicago and the other sanctuary cities. In fact, I'll give you a little insider information. Before I filmed this video you're watching right now, I was on TikTok scrolling around and I was watching a live stream of people following Border Patrol on TikTok live just now. So this is a very real problem for Homeland Security.
We're going to swamp those sanctuary cities with additional agents. See 10,000 more agents coming online very quickly. We're going to concentrate in sanctuary cities because we know that's where the problem is. We know they're releasing public safety threats every day. So we're going to send the resources where these sanctuary city policies are. And that's another part of the DUI, the highway safety. Secretary Noem has teamed up with, with Secretary Duffy, hell of a team there, and they're going to look at illegal aliens who are driving multi-ton vehicles down the highway at 70 miles an hour that can't read a sign. Icy bridge ahead, lane ends ahead, accident ahead. It's an extreme public safety issue, so we're stepping up that enforcement too under Secretary Duffy and Secretary Noem. I think it needs to go a step further there. I think they need a highway patrol in California and Arizona, need to staff north of our port of entries.
And that's the thing, the reason why we are seeing an influx or flood of these federal agents is because if the local police are not willing to work with the feds, then more federal agents flood the streets. But unfortunately, like we track on my channel, Homeland Security faces an increase of protesters who don't like the federal agents being in the area. Remember, these are sanctuary cities. These are voters who voted for sanctuary policies, and now that things are not going in the way that they voted for and everything was great under the Biden administration, well, that's not happening anymore. So of course we're going to see a direct correlation of federal agents come into your city, protesters are going to push back. But specifically in Chicago, it's a lot more aggressive than any other jurisdiction. Because, I mean, we have threats on border agents' lives, from bounties, talking about data gathering. There's a lot going on in Chicago. Okay, so that is the story. Again, the intention of this video is to show you both sides of the story, and even if you hate ICE, I hope you at least accepted there is another side to this story, and that's what we're here to do. Have a peaceful dialogue, piece everything together, be as fair as possible, and analyze the situation. Thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure to please subscribe, leave your comments, please like the video, and thank you again. God bless, and we'll see you all later. Please pray for peace.